Our faculty and our graduates will walk in. We have Dr. Vicky Stiha, Dr. Barrett Norman. We have sometime to be Dr. Kim DeWitt, Dr. Mihal Temkin Martinez, and our valedictorian.
Sure. I'll move out of
And
the way.
so, as is tradition at all the many commencements I have been to, we will start out with a prayer of sorts. And so we will say thank you to the universe, or Allah, or Buddha, or God, or Jesus Christ, or whoever you are thankful to, whatever you are thankful to, for providing Revital with this journey of knowledge and wisdom and education and friendship and love, and being grateful that we have all been a part of this journey with her, and wishing her all the best as she moves forward into the unknown, knowing that she's in good, safe hands, and something wonderful is waiting for her, whatever that is. So first up tonight we have our faculty speaker, Dr. Barrett Norman.
Pardon my expensive note paper, but I had a lovely time this afternoon looking at someone else's commencement remarks, and I decided I would just plagiarize them but give full credit. So this is from Tim. Yeah, Tim mentioned. I'm just giving his good ideas further. And he's a comedian from Australia. Yes, and he had a lot of nice things to say. I'm going to reduce some of his 9 life lessons for our purposes today. One of them was, you don't have to have a dream. Short-term goals can be a focus. So don't think of the big term, but look at little or smaller things like publishing a dissertation right away and other things. Don't seek happiness, he said, but just, I think he was more like live happiness instead of always looking for it. I'm not sure what he Anyway, but also, I'm going to jump ahead. I liked what he really said this one. Be hard on your opinions. And opinions are like a-holes. Sorry, everyone has them, but you need to be intellectually rigorous about your own. Sorry, I did. You'd appreciate that.
Inside, I'm not
Once again, I'm taking on famous comedian's idea. Anyway, I did like he said, be a teacher. In everything you do, be a teacher. Teach others how to be compassionate. Teach others how to be intellectually rigorous. Teach others how to share your own ideas. Like you share your ideas, Revital, with all of us. Define yourself by what you love and not just in opposition. Just say, I'm against this, but no, this is what I love. So I think you've already shown us all that. So your words now are going to be reaching all of us and your work. So define yourself by what you love. And then he says, I like this too, I'll turn it into my own. Don't rush. You have a short life, but it's long in some ways, and just fill it all with love and happiness and intellectual rigor, and tear them apart with your ideas and change the world, reinvent whatever you want, because they said they had to change the word reinvent in your dissertation to the word expand. You reinvent, please. Okay, so.
Thank you, Dr. Norman. Next up, Dr. Vicky Stiha is going to talk to you about Revital's research, and her dissertation is called Connectedness in Education as a Social Critique of Individualism, an Analysis of Cultural Foundations class. Say that fast 3 times.
I can.
So I had the pleasure of working with Revital in some of the early stages in talking about some ideas, as well as in the very last moments with a very challenging committee. And for those of us who have PhDs, we can tell you that earning a PhD is often referred to as an act of persistence, and persist she did. It was challenging to get past some of those last hurdles.
Yes.
But I think it was the ideas of the students that Revital was able to surface and to get them to come out that really drove her forward. Because the work that Revital did was transformational for the students. Helping them to identify the bridges that they had to cross to understand themselves and to understand others. And she did reinvent a curriculum that comes through transformation. It is transformative, and it is critical, and it is feminist.
Yes,
and it's
beautiful.
And she's writing a book, so you'll get to read all about it. And she'll write whatever she damn well pleases.
Thank you, Dr. Stiha. Next up, we have Dr. Michal Temkin-Martinez, who is going to talk to us about the hooding and what that means.
So Dr. Stiha will be hooding Dr. Zilanka. And, you know, we thought it'd be important for everybody to understand why the hooding ceremony, what does it mean? So the hooding, the physical hooding of a doctoral student marks the passing of knowledge. And it creates a connection of mentorship and a lifelong connection, really, and it's a chain reaction of, you know, everybody who has gotten a PhD is hooded and then, you know, gets hooded by somebody else and hoods others, and so there's a chain of connection, of mentorship, and as was alluded to earlier, Rital's committee doesn't get to hood her. They didn't earn it. Her advisor did, but the others did not. And so it's actually quite symbolic. I think that Vicky does get to hood Revital, having worked with her at the beginning and at the end of her dissertation. And so we'll let the hooding begin.
So Dr. Revital Zilanka being hooded by Dr. Vicky Stiha.
It's both transformative and feminist, right?
That's right. Turn around later.
Just say that out loud. She just said it's transformative and feminist. To be, I could hear it. You couldn't.
Trans-international.
Okay, before you speak, hang on. Okay, you'll get out of this. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, no.
And before Dr. Z speaks, Kim DeWitt, a close friend of Dr. Z, wanted to say some words.
Yeah. Revital and I, we were in graduate school together.
Right, we got our master's together.
We got our masters together. We walked together and sat together and celebrated afterwards together. My mom was here.
Right.
I feel like I feel compelled to say this because it was a big learning moment in that 2 years of grad school for me, was when Revital shared how lipstick for her meant when her grandmother would prick. Can I share this?
Yeah.
Okay, when her grandmother would prick her skin with blood to get the blood to make her lips turn, and I'm like, that's not lipstick. She's like, for me, that's lipstick, and I was like, it was like the light bulb that minions have, but like intense, and that was a big change for me in that program to have her as a classmate, and she always has pushed me to think of things more and more. So I just, from there to where we are right now, I'm really proud of you. Yeah, she did a great job, you guys.
Thank you.
And again, before Dr. Z speaks, would anybody like to say a word or two?
I would like to say something.
Okay.
Me and Angie we call her Revi. She's our neighbor. And our kitchen window looks right into her into her house, and
That's not creepy.
we're kind of night owls, and there's been so many times like I always see her computer light on, like she's always working. So I know that she's worked really hard for this. So I just think that's great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Revi, you inspire me.
Thank you.
Your honesty and your very direct speech is
It's my Israeli
very-
quality.
very inspirational because we try to sugarcoat things or not make people uncomfortable
Yes,
when in fact they should feel uncomfortable.
yes.
And I admire you.
That's
for
my
that.
second book, gonna be about that.
Wake up,
American.
people feel better. And then
Sasha gets it. Yes, Jerry.
I may be her oldest but most recent student. She's been teaching me for a couple of months now,
Yes.
and I can tell from her manner, from her intelligence, from her passion, as I witnessed, at least indirectly, the misery of that last effort toward getting her doctorate.
He was in my house. Hands off.
Looks like a criminal.
Pollock.
Yeah.
State of mind.
But I'm just absolutely convinced, first of all, that she's one of the most interesting people I've ever met in Boise, Idaho. And two, that she is a great teacher.
Thank you.
And she will have a transformative effect on students and on whatever country she's in, on the system of education.
Hear, hear.
I met Revital through some friends when I was in the McNair Scholars Program, and while those friendships have kind of distanced themselves, and even though Revi was way back on the East Coast, we remained like really connected. We just kind of clicked, so I'm so excited to have seen you kind of go from your master's and into your doctorate and all the craziness, and here you are with people that really care and love you.
Thank you.
So it's good to be here with you.
Now me talk.
Now you talk.
Now I talk. You got it right. Okay.
How long are you gonna talk for?
1,072 words, baby. when I'm in business,
Okay.
I'm in business.
Yes.
Okay.
She's hooded.
So I had like 3 versions of what I'm gonna say today, and this one is from like today 3 p.m. which kind of reflects how I wrote my dissertation. Not really, I was very but before I read it, I want to say that the way I write, it's very different. Well, for me, it's not different because it's what I used to do. But I write in my head before I write with my fingers on the computer or in a notebook or a piece of paper. I rewrite sentences and paragraphs in my head, walking to the bus, coming back from work, doing the dishes. And then I just sit and everything comes out on the computer. So this is what I had in the last week. So here we go. So first I would like to start by thanking you all for coming here today. And no, really? Dr. Stan Steiner. He can wait 5 minutes.
Her speech has a soundtrack.
Yeah. He can wait. Sorry, I love him, but this is my moment. Okay. So thank you for coming here and celebrating with me this very special and unique event. First, I want to thank my good friends, Christy and Steven, for hosting this event and for including me in your family events and gatherings since 2009. I know this house. I stayed in this house. I know Christy even before I met her. Before I moved to Boise, I sent her lots of questions about being an international student in Boise State. And instead of answering my 170 questions, she suggested that we talk on the phone. It will be easier for her. And which we did. We talked on the phone like, I don't know, an hour at least. And it was like exactly like 9 years ago. It was like in April 2009. And I told you that before in your birthday, that back then when we talked on the phone, I told her like, I feel like we're gonna be like really good friends. And I'm so glad that I was right.
You were right.
So each and every one of you here, of this guest, awesome collection, you're part of my success. And I couldn't do it without you. And I couldn't be right here, right now, in this very moment, in this very house, without your love and support throughout the years. Even those of you who have met me only in the last year when I moved back to Boise to finish up my dissertation writing. Some of you know me since I first moved to Boise. I'm gonna skip those who are not here, so it's less than 100. I met Kim in the master's program, and we took classes together, and we walked together, like, you know, we graduated together. I have photos that prove that. And Carolina, because we had mutual friends. And then there was a student that told me there is an Israeli professor on campus. She's like, she knows Hebrew. And like, yeah. I thought I'm the only one that speaks Hebrew on Boise State. And it turned out to be Michal, and who became my instant Hebrew buddy and mentor. And then I met Gail, where is Gail? Gail and Vicky through Michal and Melissa. Where are you? Here. And Vicky, by the way, like she said, she held my hand through the last part of my dissertation writing. She helped me with in the last minute revisions I was required to make. And together we made it. I met Giovanni. Where's Giovanni? Hey, Giovanni. I met Giovanni when I went out with Sayan, his wife, to a drink before I moved to North Carolina for my PhD. And then they ended up getting married. And I'm just saying, you know, I'm just naming a couple of people here because I'm just saying, you know, a web of friends and colleagues who became friends are my beloved community. So in the past 8-9 years, I've been keeping going back to some philosophical yet practical questions about what gravitates people towards each other. Okay, what's in the core of relationships and friendships, community? What defines our connections, our sense of responsibility to each other? I mean, we are so different from each other, culturally, religiously, linguistically. We come from different places in the world. We have here people who are born in different countries or states whose native language is not English, who have different skills and jobs and hopes and dreams. Yet we find commonalities all the time. So one commonality that I can think of is that you all like me or love me. That's a nice community cause to, you know, get together. I have more jokes. I'm gonna be here all night. Tip the waitress. I don't know where I'm at, where I am. So we have Lynn and I, yes, we have different. So another thing that is, we have in common as people is that we want to be happy. And we want our loved ones to be happy. And we want to be free of unnecessary suffering, and we want to be healthy and successful, whatever success means to you personally. We want to feel worthy, welcome, heard, and seen. We want to feel belong. That's actually about this is basically like the premise of my dissertation. If you want to read 300 words of this paragraph, 300 pages,
Yes,
no, Instagramming. So when we struggle, when we feel hopeless, when we are sad or frustrated, or sometimes forget that we're not alone. That there are many people in our lives who want us to feel better and to be better. And when I felt miserable and beaten up during my PhD journey, I had Michal, and I had Sayan, and I had Christy, and I had Vicky. To ask for an advice, to get a space to vent, to feel the pain and to be okay with the pain, and to be whoever I needed to be at those moments. The people we love and who love us back are the best people to remind us who we are and what is important in life. These connections. We have our community to lean on, to grow within, to feel safe and celebrated, even when times are rough. Those relationships define us, shape us, allow us to grow, and they make us stronger. A few years back, I think it was 3 years ago, when I came back to the States from a visit in Israel, just before landing in Madrid, Spain, for a very terrible long layover. I burst in tears on the plane. I did not know where I belonged to anymore. Being an immigrant with an expiration date is difficult. I have my roots in Israel, but I spread branches in the States, and there is a huge ocean between those two parts of me. Being home and away at the same time for almost 9 years now can be a difficult thing to experience. My branches, the Israeli ones, are strong and beautiful, but so are my Neo-American, my branches, my Israeli roots are beautiful and strong, but also my American branches. It's not a coincidence that my strongest, most beautiful branches are in Boise. It's not a coincidence that I came back to Boise to finish up my dissertation when I had a chance to leave the South.
That's another book.
Yeah, that's the third book. Jew in the South, oy vey. I said I have jokes. Just a minute. No, don't copy paste.
That was 2 different words, by the way.
I know. Me and my English, it's terrible. So Boise is my second home after Israel. My current home. Home is where my heart is. Home is where you stop escaping. Home is where you feel belong. Home is where one feels loved and cared for, seen and heard. Where we feel connected. Boise is my home. Boise is where my friends make sure I have a home to live in. Home defines us, our community defines us, and because you are my community, my generous, beautiful, wonderful, loving, and caring community, my success is your success. My growth is your growth. No man is an island, and as a feminist, I must add, no woman is an island. None of us can be successful without having a meaningful relationships with our families, our friends, our communities. It doesn't matter if you are a teacher or a lawyer, if you are a CEO or a PhD student. People here supported me, spent hours in conversations about my research, proofread my cover letters for jobs, fed me, took me out for a drink or 2 or 3, cooked for me, gave me a home, danced with me, cried with me, gave me rides to the airport, took me to the mountains, wrote recommendations letter for jobs, and the list goes on and on. You are the best cheerleaders. Really, you are the best cheerleaders ever. A dream community. Your support over the years made it happen. Don't get me wrong, this is my last joke. I worked really, really hard on my dissertation. I wrote 75,000 words, 303 pages. I did that. But I wrote that magnificent, really awesome dissertation because I was supported by you all, and by my family and friends back in Israel, of course, and my friends and colleagues in North Carolina, like 5 of them. Okay, there was another joke, I'm sorry. So here we are celebrating my achievement. However, we're also celebrating us as a community. You're all part of my journey, and I simply cannot thank you enough for being my support system and for loving me. I love you too. Thank you.
Hey.